So I'm making these shorts today because I've seen a lot of people wearing it, and I was thinking, like, can I make this in a toy? Like, can I make this on this machine? And then I actually tried and it worked. I'm gonna put a video of me actually wearing it, and so the ribbing worked on the top. It didn't work much on the bottom. It didn't look really nice, so I didn't make any ribbing at all. But it looks better actually this way. You can probably add, if you know how to make crochet, if you know a few stitches, you can add an edging on the bottom. Will be no problem. And as well, I'm gonna go through the stitching of both panels together. So this is the back and this is the front. So perfect, like, yeah, it worked really well. So if you guys new to my channel, make sure you subscribe to see more of these new things that I'm making on this machine, because I'm really curious and I want to know like everything I can do on this machine. And so subscribe to my channel, leave me a comment, let me know if you're trying any of my patterns. I'll be happy to know. And give me your like as well, because that makes a lot of difference for me on my YouTube channel too, so I can reach more people with these new patterns, because I see a lot of beanies and scarves and other very simple things really to do with this machine, and so I like to make different stuff. So I made this top as well. That took me a few hours only. This one took a little longer because it was the first time that I made, but it was like, I reckon if you make after the first one, the second, third one, this was my first one and it already worked, it gets faster and faster. So probably a few hours to make this one too. But just because I tried the ribbing on the bottom and then I had to frog it and then start again. So yeah, worked well at the end. That's the main part of it. And plus you can make small, medium and large. I'm gonna quickly explain on the description below how you can make the other sizes. Not much difference. It's just really it's just more knitted stitches you have to use, but because we're stitching 4 panels together, you can actually make probably an extra large on this one as well, large, extra large, just increasing a few stitches to in each one of the panels. Okay, so let's get into it. So before I start making these, I started making these shorts. What I did was I made a sample of this with much more stitches than what I have here, and then I placed on top of one of my shorts that actually doesn't stretch much. It still stretches but not much, so I knew that this size would fit me even without stretching. And then what I did was I placed the sample that I made a sample with the same yarn that I'm using, which is a 12 ply, and then but with much more rows, like a bigger panel, just so I knew. And then I counted on that big panel how many stitches I need and how many rows I wanted as well. And so this is what I came up with after. And this is the right size for my short. Okay, so I'm making 2 panels for each side, and then I'm gonna join them here in the middle. Okay, I'm gonna stitch them here in the middle, and then with this circular needle here, I'm going to work all the way around for the waist. Okay, so I'm still making 2 other panels, and I want to show you how I made it, because I decreased a few stitches here on the top because for the waist. But basically here I have, for a medium size, I have this is what I have here in this piece of paper. I wonder if you can see it because it's really so. That's my gauge, and that's each panel measurement, 24 by 24, so 24 by 24 centimeters. And that's how many stitches and how many rows I made for each panel, not counting the ribbing. Okay, and then so it's 31 stitches for each panel, 46 rows. And you really need to count these rows because they need to be the same size at the end so we can join them together perfectly. So now I'm gonna show you then how I made this first panel and then the second panel. So my order that I'm using is I made the first panel and then the second panel, and then the third panel is gonna be exactly the same of the first one, and the fourth panel is gonna be exactly like the second one, just because it has to, I have decreased stitches here, so I have to have decreased stitches on the other side now. So I'm gonna show you right now how to make each one of these panels and how to remove the panels using the circular needle, which is really helpful, okay, because we're gonna be making ribbing on the top to close the shorts on the top, and also we're gonna be making, I think, a ribbing on the bottom, or even a crochet edging, whatever I'm feeling like, whatever I think is better at the end. Okay, because this can't be too tight for your legs, so let's see how we go here on the waist first, and then we're gonna finish the bottom. So let's start with this next panel here. It's gonna be exactly the same one of this one, okay, and I'm gonna show you how to remove and put it here as well. So put your machine on the panel mode here to the top, and then we're gonna cast on the simplest way we can, because we're gonna finish with the circular needle, so it doesn't really matter. So we're gonna start this very simple way. Just put the yarn through the third hook, okay, on the panel mode, and then we're gonna put it outside the second needle and inside the third one outside, and we're gonna weave this way all the way until you count 31 stitches, okay? So from hook number 3 to hook number 34, and now we're gonna make our first row. Let's make sure the beginning here is tight, and you can pull it a bit right on the beginning of the row as well, and that's why I like to hold the yarn with my hands down here always, so we get the right tension. We are going to make 40 rows just like this, and then I'm gonna show you how to decrease. We're gonna decrease 2 stitches on this side right on the beginning, okay, so count 46 there. So now I have 40 rows here, and I'm gonna start decreasing on the beginning, so on the here my fourth hook. So I'm gonna remove the yarn here, and I'm going with my hook. You can be using the hook that came with the machine, no problem. You just put it underneath and you remove this stitch from the first needle, go to the second needle, remove it from the second needle as well, third needle, remove it from the third needle or third peg. Now you have 3 stitches here. What we are going to do is we're gonna remove this third one from the hook, and we're gonna insert the second one in that hook, the next hook we have, and then the third stitch we're going to put right on top of it. So you're gonna have 2 stitches in this hook here, and then in this hook here, make sure you always you put the stitch this way and not this way, otherwise it's gonna be twisted at the end. So this way, in the same way you removed it, you're gonna insert again on the hook, and then you can pull it a bit so it's tight on the beginning. And then we're gonna crank it back a bit so we can make that stitch again. Put the yarn underneath this part here just before the first hook, inside the yarn holder there. And then make sure when you're making this second stitch here, where you put the both stitches, it's down right on the bottom of the peg. So now we're gonna just make it normally. My machine is sometimes a bit okay, and then one more. Down. And then again. So remove it. Okay, so that's all I wanted to decrease. I'm going to make one more row and then I'm gonna cast all my stitches off using the circular needle. Okay, so 2 more. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove, do what I normally do. Just make a full row, no yarn. So I'm gonna, if that's your first panel, like if that's your first panel, that you're gonna do exactly the same way I'm doing now, okay? And then I'm going to start removing the stitches this way, or this way actually, okay? So put the hook inside the stitch and remove it. Let me see if it's this way or not. Yes. So from the bottom to the top. It's a very easy way that I figure out I could use. So remove all of them and then you can start the next panel. So now I have my 3 panels here. This is the 2 of the front and this is the one for the back. That's how my short's starting to look like. So after that I'm going to teach you as well, show you the invisible stitch that I learned on Pinterest, really good. It doesn't even look like it's stitched. But first of all we're gonna make the ribbing and then stitch after, just in case there's a few gaps here sometimes, because these stitches on the beginning they're a bit too big, and so we stitch after to fix them if we need. So what's gonna happen now, remember that on this last panel we will remove stitches on the beginning of the row. Now this other panel we're gonna remove at the end of the row, okay? Because here it is on the beginning, so it's the opposite way. So one you increase one side, the other on the other, and then the other you just repeat the same thing you did for these 2 first ones. So this one now it's gonna be the same of the one on the back, because we need the stitches decreased always on the sides, not in the middle. The middle has to be straight. Okay, so let's make this next panel. It's gonna be 31 stitches, 46 rows, same thing, but you're going to decrease 2 stitches at the end of the row number 40, okay? So to remove the stitches on the last panel, so this is the last and the second panel, okay? I made row number 40 all the way to the end, and then here I'm going to decrease instead of on the beginning of the row at the end. The way I'm going to be doing that's exactly the same way. Okay, so I'm going to start going from here to here, so when I finish removing this panel, I can use this tail to start knitting on the top, if you understand what I'm saying. So I'm going to put, so you can actually start from anywhere you want, you just want to make sure the panels are facing the way you want. And let me see if they actually are, yeah. So here I decreased stitches, I put a marker here on the other side, and that's where I decreased stitches as well, so they are both on the same side here, and that's what I wanted. So after I removed all the panels, that's what I have now. I have all of them in my needles, and I have the running yarn that I used on the last panel to make the last panel right on the beginning here, and that's the way I want it to start the knitting. So here what we're gonna do is we're gonna start straight with the ribbing, okay, because we want to remember we want to make this ribbing on the top. So I'm going to make the ribbing and I'm going to finish with elastic, I think. Let me see. So to make the ribbing is we're gonna start removing only removing the first stitch. Okay, see this stitch is not facing the right way. This stitch should be like this, okay? But because I'm going to purl it, so I'm going to put the yarn over the second hook, yarn over, pull it through. The third one I'm going to make here, fourth one, see, this is the right way they should be, but because when I removed from the needles, I removed from the back to the front, they're facing the wrong way. So I'm going to purl here. Knitting is alright because you can put the hook through the other side there and then it's the same result, but to make the purl it would be twisted, so you have to first put the stitch the right way. See, I'm just removing it, and so because this loop, the first loop has to be in front of the second, if you know what I mean, and then you purl. But this is just gonna happen on this first row. That's just because the way I removed from the machine, which is not a big drama really. So this is called 1 by 1 ribbing stitch, and is normally used in knitting to finish projects. So the next stitch here that I'm going to start on this panel has to be a purl, because I have to continue making the same stitches. So I'm gonna put all this second panel here so it's easy to work. And okay, so here my last one was knit, and now I'm going to purl here. So see, we are joining this way, we are joining all the panels together with knitting. So yeah, the way you have to remove from the machine is from the bottom to the top. So you put it is like the first time I did it, from the bottom to the top. So just repeat this all the way, go through all the panels, and then I'm going to be making a few rows of these, okay? So you can do as many as you want, but I'm thinking like this long. I'm thinking 1.5 inches or around 4 centimeters. After the last stitch on the last panel here, which is here, what I did was I started straight away on the next row, and on this next row here, if you want, place a marker here so you know where the beginning is. Okay, and so what I'm going to do is when I see where I see my purl stitches, I'm going to have purl again. And where it's knitted, I'm gonna have knitted, because, and the reason why is because I'm working with a circular needle. I'm always going to be working on the front of my work, and not like a normal needle, you turn to the back and to the front. And here, because it's circular, we always work on the front. So here it's a little V stitch, that's a knitted stitch, so we just knit. Here's purls to the little loops on the front, as you can see, and then you purl. So knit and purl. So what's the next step? Next step, we're gonna be stitching all the sides together, all the parts together. So this is what I have now. Let me see how many rows I made. 2, 4, 6, 8 rows. So what you could do if you wanted to, you could make double of these rows, like 16 rows, and then fold it this way, and stitch on the back, and have a ribbing like that, folded ribbing. Or you can just finish now like I'm going to do. So actually, before I placed that yellow marker, but I actually started on the blue, so that's where I finished making it now. So what I'm going to do here is I'm either gonna finish this with a single crochet row, or I'm going to do one row with double crochets, just to put a string through here on the top. So before that, we're gonna cast off all these stitches we have. And to do that, I'm going to start on the last stitch of this panel here, which is this one. See, my marker is here. This is the last stitch. And then I'm going to make same way I was doing before, just purl. Put the hook through the stitch before and pull it on top of the one you just made. So you're gonna finish it off this way. The next one I'm going to knit and then repeat the same thing. So purl. See, they're not tied here. They're big loops. Yeah, I'm not doing that on purpose, so we don't have the shorts too tied on at the end. So until now I used one row only, 100 grams, and I don't think I'll need more than that, which is awesome. So you can make with one of these rows that cost me $2.20 or something, or you can use the red heart ones, they're cheap, and you can probably make 2 if it's 200 grams. This is the top part after I finish it. It's actually a bit too stretched, so I'll have to close it with elastic, and that's the elastic I'm using. It's a flat elastic for swimwear, and I'm just gonna place it underneath while I'll make the last row, so it's a bit more tight this end here. And if you didn't finish yet, you can finish it more tied, not like I said leaving long loops, because this is actually a little bit bigger than what it's supposed to be. Anyway, what I'm going to do now before I do anything else, I have a mess here because I have all these tails that I left to stitch. If you don't have a tail, just make a little knot on the back, because we are going to be stitching on the front here, and the way we are going to do that is like this. I'm gonna put both sides like this, and then we're gonna stitch through this one here, and that's the one we are going to grab. Let me see if I'm on the right one. This one here. So I'm on this side now, and I'm going to go on the other side, and in between both V's, there's this both V's, in between them there's this loop, and that's the one I'm gonna be using to stitch. So this one, and then the one on the other side, in between these two V's, this little loop inside here. I hope you can see it well. And then straight to the next one, the very next one here. And don't worry, because we're gonna pull this after, so it's gonna be closed. Okay, so from one side to the other, always in that little loop in between the V's. So yeah, that's the best stitching for to join panels together. Now I'm gonna join them here. As you can see, it's quite perfect. So I'll be doing this in all the sides. I'm actually really happy about it. I'm gonna be doing this in all the sides and on both middles as well, and then I come back with you guys. I tried this on myself and it was a bit too loose after I stitched everything together. Here's the stitching. This is the middle. Let me see, because I have less stitches. Oh, this is the middle. It's actually like a skirt now. You know, if you make a few more rows, you can make a skirt, but I'm gonna make a skirt pattern soon. So I'm going to make a full row on top of this elastic, just so it's elasticized on the waist, and that way a bit more tight on my waist. So to do that, after we finish casting off the stitches, we have this tail and this last loop here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to place this elastic right behind my work like this, and then once I make every stitch, I'm going straight to this second one here. Okay, so I'm going to put my hook through here, the second stitch, and then I'm going to put the elastic right on top of it. See, it's on top like this. I'm going to yarn over and pull it. So, and then yarn over and pull it again. And then I'm going to the next stitch, which is this one. Put it through. The elastic has to be on top. Okay, on top of this two loops. And then yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, pull it through again. Next one. Just leave the elastic like this, should, you know, it's a good position for it. And then put the hook through the next stitch, which is here. Pull it, yarn over, pull it. Okay, so every now and then you can pull this a bit. Pull the elastic a bit, because remember, the elastic's not exactly the same size of the waist, is a bit smaller, so every now and then just pull it a bit. Okay, so I'm going to be repeating this all the way around, and then we're gonna deal with the bottom part of it. Okay, so that's where I am now. This could easily be a skirt actually, but so we are going to join these together now, these two sides. Let's do it now. So to join both sides together, make sure you grab the front and the back and all the sides where we had the stitches decreased. I'm going to work on, I'm thinking 8 stitches down the bottom here. As you can see, there are all the loops you can see here, there are the stitches. And I'm making a slip knot here with my hook. And I'm going to start working through them like I did on a few tutorials before. You just put the hook through, yarn over, and pull it. Put the hook through the second one, yarn over, pull it. Put the hook through the third stitch, yarn over and pull it. And the fourth one, pull it. And then we're going to the second side, so we got 4 stitches this way and 4 stitches the other way to each panel, right in the middle. And then after that we can remove, because this is a waste yarn, after we cast on all the stitches back on the needles, on the circular needle, and work on the ribbing on the bottom, we can remove this waste yarn here. But first we need to work on these stitches, so the knitted part doesn't open all the way. Anyway, yarn over, pull it. So this is 5. And there you go, that's the last one. So this is what we are going to join with the back part. So I'm making 1 chain, and I'm working all just single crochets. So 1 chain, turn the work and work on that second stitch, repeat the same work. So repeat as many times as you need, as you think is good. Just try on yourself before you finish it, or join with the other side and try, see if it's good, see if it's long enough, really. And I'm going to do that here. So make a few rows there. I'm gonna be making around 6 rows because I think that's enough for me. So 6 rows of this. Made a few rows here. I didn't really needed many because this short's already my size. And now what you do here on the back, you just pull, see there's this yarn that runs through all the loops. So just pull it through a bit so you can actually see the stitches, because they get hidden after, you know, working with the piece. And then here as well, so it's 4 each side, 4 each way I'm going to get. And so from this last loop we have, we're just going to work the same way again. So I'm gonna put through the 4th, so 1, 2, 3, 4, the 4th loop here, and work the same way we did before. Yarn over and pull it through. So the second one, we are going to put the hook through this loop here, these 2 loops here on the crochet side, and put the hook through the loop, the knitted loop on the other side. And we are going to do yarn over, pull through all of them, and then again. So put the hook through the crochet loops, and then the knitted loop, make sure it's the last one. They're hard to grab sometimes, but they're there. It is what it is. So, and then pull it through all of them. It can be a bit confusing, so make sure that running yarn is always showing you which loop you have to put the hook through. Grab the last loop and pull that yarn all the way through, and then on the last one you're gonna work on that little chain at the end. Put it through, grab the last loop of the knitting, Don't worry about that waste yarn, we're gonna remove it later. And there you go, this is our last stitch. So I finished this side here, and I'm gonna show you how I made it, but I decided not to do that same ribbing that I put on the top, just because it didn't look really good. So yeah, this looked much better just like even unfinished, if you want to use it unfinished, and just leave this bit of yarn here and finish it off if you want to do this way, if you don't want to go through the trouble of finishing. So if you do, here I made crochet on the last row. If you know how to make crochet, you can add an edge here. There's a lot of edge stitches you can add that would look good there too. I'm just leaving like this because this is just a tutorial really, so you can finish it off the way you want. So here what I'm going to do is I'm gonna do what we did before with the top part. So I'm going to make here my slip stitch, and I'm going to finish this here the same way we did here on the top. And to do that, I'm going to just work on every single stitch here. See, this is one, and this is the last one that we used to finish it off here. So I'm going to start on the first one on this other side, and I'm just repeating the same thing that I did here, okay? Now what you have to put the hook through that first one, pull it through both, and then keep pulling this yarn here so you can actually see the loops. And again, you can use the hook that came with the machine as well, the pink one. I just use mine because I prefer. So here you have to leave a longer loop on the hook, so it's not too tight at the end as well. So while you're making it, the first loop always has to be a little, just a little bit loose, a little bit longer. So the end, so you can actually fit your legs through this part here. As you can see, this is not tied at all. So here it is, that's the running yarn going that way. So I'm just gonna pull it and it comes through easy. Just before you do that, make sure you tried it on and you're happy about it. Otherwise it's gonna be hard to put the stitches through on the needles again, on your circular needles. That's what I do if I have to redo something. I put all the work back on the circular needle, and then I'm finished with crochet or whatever I need. So this here, there's a little hole here, so I'm going to finish just like I did before. So this is how my shorts look like at the end. What I will do differently on this one, probably a little less rows here, maybe 4 rows less, not many, but less. And I would probably decrease more stitches on each side instead of 2, maybe 4.